Hey, welcome to Take 5 for Foodies. I love helping out the new kids on the block. Michael Rusconi. Oh, sound familiar? Well, let me see. Vincent's, Mary Elaine's, Lon's, the James Beard Table in New York, and now my big fat Greek restaurant and the Panda Express, and you're right between them. Why? Why a strip center, Michael, with all that background?
It was the space that called me. I looked for about a year and a half, and I really had a lot of trouble finding a space.
Why?
At the economy, I'm looking for a restaurant in the worst economy in 30 or 40 years, and all the landlords were in trouble. Many of these properties were in foreclosure and stuff, so it was a very, very difficult process. You wouldn't think so. You would think landlords would be more accepting of making a deal, and in some instances they were, but not properties that I would have much of an interest in going into.
And the property is at a pretty nice location, because even though it's a center with a hardware store and a pet store and so on, it's a great big strip center at Tatum and Shea.
Right, which is right on the Scottsdale-Phoenix PV border there. Mm-hmm. So, it looks like a good spot for me. I love the restaurant. I love the space. It's very unique, a very unique shape, as you saw the other night when you were there.
Well, I loved it, and particularly because Michael, with all that background and all those great restaurants, has a tantalizing way with a menu, particularly your menu, because you didn't have to answer to anybody else.
Mm-mm. And I haven't had to in years, but my menu definitely has influences of all the other chefs that I've worked for over the years.
Like?
Vincent or Alex Strada when I was at Mary Elaine's. Mainly those two guys have a really strong influence on my menu.
Well, let's talk about the menu then. If people didn't even know you existed, mm-hmm. around the corner from mm-hmm. Z Tejas mm-hmm. and the other locations there with all of those other food locations, they still want to know what it is you're serving.
Right. It's regional. I like to call it regional American comfort food. When I talk about American food, as you know, the United States is this great melting pot. We have many diverse cultures here. So my food is influenced by that. There's French, Spanish, American influences, and Italian influences in my food, but with a regional American twist. I have a wood-burning grill. I burn pecan and imparts a very unique flavor on my food. So that's kind of my take on American food.
Well, here's a take right now. Mm-hmm. Rather than just talk about the menu. Is there anything more frustrating than hearing a couple of guys talk about a menu like it's literature as opposed to a dining experience? Like, for example, this. Mm-hmm.
That's my pecan wood grilled salmon with baby cabbages, roasted tomatillo sauce, and a little bit of carrot jus. And we brush that with a blackberry barbecue glaze.
And over there?
It's my braised pork ossobuco with prickly pear braised red cabbage.
Now, you said veal at the beginning, and I always associate ossobuco with veal.
And every time, it's the first time I've done it with pork. I've always done it with veal shank, but veal shank is so expensive and it doesn't fit the price point of my restaurant. And I want to be in a moderate price point and do really great food, so so the guests can get something they can't get anywhere else for a very affordable cost.
Like, for example?
That's my natural braised beef short rib with vanilla-scented butternut squash and an ancho chili chocolate sauce.
Vanilla-scented squash.
Mm-hmm.
And these vegetables and those vegetables, you seem to consistently be somebody that the veggies and the vegans would still appreciate.
I dated a vegan for a long time once, so I kind of get it, but I have things on my menu that can be made vegan. I have a wonderful butternut squash ravioli that's vegetarian. But, you definitely have to take care of everybody's dietary requests these days. So,
like, for example, maybe the southern folks who come in looking for grits.
Yeah, I've got creamy grits. I've got green chili grits. I've got green chili mac and cheese that goes with my roasted chicken.
Now, I got to tell you, my wife, she's fell in love with your mac and cheese. Mm-hmm. And she always loved the family recipe for mac and cheese. It was a personal kind of possessiveness. Mm-hmm. And then she got into yours. So what gap, then, do you think you're filling at Tatum and Shea?
Well, there's not very many independent restaurants there, and all the locals that have been coming in have been saying, thank you for coming. We needed a real restaurant, something that was different from the chain thing that's been going on there for years. And I think that's the gap that I'm going to fill.
And they are finding you, aren't they?
Oh, they're finding me, for sure. They're definitely finding me.
Now, why would you serve lunch at Tatum and Shea? There's no office buildings around there.
There's a few, and when I look around at the other restaurants like Paradise Bakery and Zite House, they seem to do pretty well at lunch. So I figure, why not give it a try and see what happens?
Yeah, Michael Rusconi. By the way, just because it's Rusconi, it's not an Italian restaurant.
No, it's not.
The official name?
Rusconi's American Kitchen.
The official address?
10637 North Tatum Boulevard.
Nobody's going to remember that. Tatum and Shea, right?
Yeah, Tatum and Shea.
Yeah, and if you get into a big strip center, just drive around until you see a whole bunch of people going into a restaurant. And in this particular case, it's probably Rusconi's. And this, without any doubt, is Take 5 for Foodies.